What happens when you are attacked by werewolves and thrown into a completely foreign and dangerous world? Today, we're going to be finding out in Jordan Stephanie Gray's Bitten. Stay tuned to find out what we think. Welcome back to Painting the Story. If you don't know what that is where you and me sit down, book club, and get ready for the day. Now, today, we are going to be talking about Jordan Stephanie Gray's Bitten. Now, before we get into this review, I do need to preface this by saying I did not personally purchase this book. It was gifted to me, which, if that matters to you for any bias sakes, please take that into consideration. I will say this is not the kind of book that I would usually purchase myself just based upon the book summary that it gives you, but I was pleasantly surprised, as you'll see later, what I thought of it. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So, to start the story off, we have these two beautiful best friends. It's very modern. I don't remember the age. I believe the story takes place, and they're about 17 years old. They're not in college, but they're like seniors in high school or something. And these are just the best friends ever. They love each other. It's one of those things where they became friends in a very young age, and they just latched onto each other. Or more like the best friend. Her name is Celeste. She latched on to our main character, Vanessa. It was like, you're my friend now. And I thought there would have been more to that, but that's literally just it. She just was drawn to her, and they became best friends, and their dynamic is actually so beautiful. And where the story takes off is, it is Vanessa's birthday. So I'm guessing she was 16 and is turning 17. Because I'm pretty sure she remains underage for this entire story. I don't know if that's true. That kind of icks me out, I can't lie. The story takes off with it being Vanessa's birthday. And her best friend, Celeste, is saying, hey, there's this party. We need to go celebrate your birthday. So she drags her out, and they both wind up meeting their crushes at this party, which was frankly like a very appealing factor, which was why she actually went in the first place, because Vanessa's not very much an outgoing person. She's definitely way more introverted. I don't know why I can't say that word. Than Celeste is. And Celeste is very much a pulling her out of the shell type person, which we very much appreciate. We love those kinds of people. And at this party, things take a turn for the worse when this one girl, we find out her name is Evie, who kind of just shoves Vanessa out the way while she's talking to her crush, causing her to stumble and like fall over and make a fool of herself. But Celeste's like, girl, you're not gonna do that to my best friend. So a fight ensues, and Loki, it starts getting really heated, and Celeste did kind of lose, but she's not gonna like back down from this. But things on both sides, like Evelyn and her little posse, because it's high school, they got posses, I guess. They're all really heated, and people are starting to like try and break this up because they know things are about to get really fucking ugly if this turns into like a gang fight or like a street brawl. So Celeste gets pulled away, and people from her little group pull them away, and they start like leaving, grouping together, make sure nothing bad happens. But whilst Celeste and Vanessa are returning back to their car, just like leaving the party, because like they're so done and over with it, they notice a man, standing at the end of the street, under the streetlight, super ominous, super menacing. And what do you know? This man starts making these horrific howling noises, bones cracking, and he turns into a werewolf right before their eyes. And after a brief moment of like stunned, what the absolute hell, they start running. And this wolf creature starts chasing after them. Already just like spooky as hell. And of course, they're scared as fuck. A chase scene ensues, and what would you know? They don't make it because it's a giant wolf. Like, I'm talking, this thing is bigger than a person, like over 8 feet tall, bulky. This ain't your normal, like, forest wolf. This is a demonic creature coming after them. So they get attacked, and Celeste winds up brutally just harmed. She does not wind up making it. And Vanessa kind of just holds her in her arms as this all takes place. The wolves are gone. She did wind up like stabbing one of them, but like it really did not matter because they just left and her friend is not doing well. So they're both on the ground. Vanessa has enough mental capacity where she's able to pick up her phone and call the police. But thing is, she doesn't call the police. She calls her father, who happens to be a police officer. But he comes alongside this weird black sedan, or black SUV, rather, who start pulling Vanessa away and telling them to clean up the scene. And over his police radio, he's like, oh, it's just a run over animal roadkill. We're gonna clean it up now. Sorry for like bothering y'all. Vanessa, hearing this, like, what the fuck? I gotta like bleep all this out. I'm just realizing it's gonna be so much work for me. And she's like, no, she was murdered. We need to like find help. And then this weird man who came out of this black SUV is pulling her away, like, we need to go now. And she's so confused, like, no, I will not go with you. I need to go to the hospital. And he's like, no hospital for you, Goo. You're coming with us. And after so much resentment, and then be like, if we don't take you, we're going to kill you ourselves. She's like, ugh. And the dad, although does not like this, he does let them take her away. And in the police car, or in the black SUV, she finds out, you are a werewolf. You're turning into one. Either you die, or you join us. Those are your two options. And we might not even be the ones that kill you. This transformation might just do it for ourselves. Wipe our hands clean, that's the easiest outcome for us. And she's like, oh, hell no. And she's just super not okay with any of this. So they wind up having to sedate her with wolfsbane. Monk's hood. It's a poisonous plant, very toxic to humans, but for werewolves, as we later find out, is incredibly lethal to them. This can like be pretty much instantly lethal for them. So I don't know how, but they inject the serum to her, and she just passes out instead of dying. But the guy's like, this is dangerous, you should not be doing this, because it might ruin all chances she has of surviving the transformation. But he's like, I don't care, he was so done with her, which I think is so uncalled for, because she's literally just a random girl brutally attacked. Her wounds are healing, by the way, because she is like transformation. They got like superhero healing powers or whatever. But of course she's traumatized, and he's just having zero compassion for her. But she gets injected, passes out, and she wakes up in a cell. Cold, dark, and the next few days are absolutely agonizing, as the werewolf infection is very much like a infection. She's hallucinating, she feels like horrible bodily sensations, like she's sick, and she really does not think she's going to make it. And mind you, in Gray's book, the werewolf transformation is described as the beast emerging from within, which entails like the bones splitting apart, and it's very gory and gruesome, which I was actually surprised by, because this book is rather lighthearted, otherwise speaking. And the rest of the story basically follows Vanessa being a newly transformed werewolf, and her trying to uncover the secret of who killed her best friend, because she wants vengeance. Then there are some other plot points which are a little more important, like the fact that she has purple eyes, which basically means in this werewolf hierarchy system, there are alphas, betas, and omegas, and then like queens or regent rulers, because basically the entire world is secretly ruled by werewolves. Just like in the shadows, they have all the power. But within the werewolf society, they have their own ranking systems where you have continental rulers who are called the queens, kings, and then below them you have all like the barons, duchesses, earls, all that fun stuff, who control countries, states, counties, towns, all that fun stuff. And the people who rule the continents have black eyes. And then everyone else who are like the nobility and stuff, they have red eyes as alphas. Or at least they're supposed to, because as nobility, they're supposed to be like the highest of the highest. And your eye color truly dictates where you are in the society and how much power you have. And this is kind of reflected in the fact that you can be mind controlled by people of a higher rank than you. So if you're alpha, the rulers, kings and queens, can mind control you. And if you're an alpha, you can control the omegas and betas and just like the hierarchy downwards. Which is frankly a very crucial part about how power works. Because in the lower societies, like of the alphas and everything, it's incredibly taboo to use the mind control on them. But the queen who we meet for the North American region, which is where the story takes place, she just uses it willy-nilly. She does not care. She is above everyone else. She'll do what the hell she wants. And she'll make other people do whatever the hell she wants as well. But Vanessa, having purple eyes, she does not fit anywhere into this hierarchy. So when the queen finds out of North America, she's like, untested potential. What can we do with you? Because, of course, she wants to use her as a weapon, like all people in power want. It's just some toy weapon to, like, mess around with. So she winds up having her try to mind control people, and then mind controls herself, mind controls her herself, to know where she fits into the hierarchy. And though she cannot control alphas, alphas can control her, but she can also control betas and omegas. So she's like right between where betas and omegas are, but she's not quite alpha. And then what that position means for her is explored later on as well, because she truly is untapped power. And what this means and what her purple eyes means kind of gets developed more later on in the story, which I'm not going to spoil it for you. And I think the only really crucial plot point to think about is the dynamics, because this is a romantasy, which is basically a fantasy setting, and it's heavily romance orientated. So with this, the main love interest is the queen's heir, whose name is Sinclair, but he goes by Sin for most of the book. And he also has this brother slash, or like half-brother slash protector named Calix. And they're pretty much the focus of the book, because Sinclair, is betrothed to the princess of the Asian court, whose name is Evelyn, the same girl who attacked Celeste at the party. And they have all this beef. But Vanessa and Sinclair kind of got the feels for each other. And Calix also kind of has a thing for her. So it's an interesting little love. Can you even call it a triangle? It's more like a little less than greater than symbol. V? I don't know. And that is pretty much the whole story and all the plot points that happen, without getting too many spoilers. because this is a good book, and as you'll see, I do recommend you go ahead and read it for yourselves. Where's my brush? By the way, if you can't tell, I am no longer using the script because I frankly think it makes it harder to do the video because I have to look at three things at once: the camera, all my expressions, reading the script, and also trying to look in the mirror as I do everything. But into the review. So, it is a romantasy, which is not something I usually read in the first place. I'm definitely more of a dark romance enjoyer. But I was pleasantly surprised by this. It is like more young adult orientated, but the magic and the beauty that it all entails with a fantasy setting was just really good. I really like the way that Gray described all of the magic scenes. Stained glass that moves, the magical lighting, all of the secret fairy portals. It was really beautiful and it made me really jealous, which I think is a very good thing for a book like this. Like, you want to feel jealous, you want to live there, you want to escape and think about what it'd be like to be there for yourselves. And Gray was incredibly good at doing this. And then when it comes to the romance, it definitely leaned more into a young adult book in this manner because they really, yes, there is some spicy scenes, but it's really not anything. Like, Gray is not going to tell you that they're doing it, but you are going to, like, be there when it's happening. But they just, like, beat around the bush, like, very touchy, very kissy, but nothing intense. And you don't have anything of, like, in the moment. Just, like, the beforehand and aftermath, you know? Which, for someone that's trying to do dark romance, that's really not what I'm here for. So that was a disappointment. But it was still a good story nonetheless. And then when it comes to the characters, this is where I have a lot to say. The character arc of Vanessa felt, frankly, incredibly lacking, if I can say that, because back after back, this girl is making the stupidest choices ever. She does not learn from her mistakes, even though she, like, tries to claim that she does. Consistently, she does not learn from anything that happens to her. And that made me so mad. Because, like, girl, what are you doing? You know better. You've seen better. You've learned better. But she still chooses to do the wrong thing every single time. And that persists up until the very end. Which was like, okay, girl. Okay. Then the other thing would be to think about the romance interest main, I guess you can call him the second main character, but, like, main romance interest of Sinclair is very interesting. I can't really say a lot about him because a lot of his character development and understanding of him happens after a plot twist at the very end of the book. I did not see this plot twist coming at all, and when it happened, it caught me completely by surprise. I did not see it coming for miles. And when it happened, I was like, oh, what the hell? And everything started clicking into place. I was like, oh my god. And so a lot of his character development happens there. Beyond that, he is not really developed, and he's pretty much just, like, the perfect person. Which I guess kind of makes sense when you're trying to make the romance interest. Like, they're going to be perfect. They're going to be amazing. You're going to want them to be as appealing to everybody as possible. And then the other character, which would be the second, that looks really bad. You can't even see it that well. The second love interest of Calix, his development, I can't even say that he really developed as a character either. He definitely maybe became more compassionate, and the bond he has with Vanessa probably increased. But himself, not really a whole lot of character development going on. The character development that I did really like, though, was with Evelyn, Evie, who is, again, the princess of the Asian court. Throughout this entire book, she's pretty much the, I can't say main antagonist, because that probably falls to the queen, but she is pretty much the second or maybe primary antagonist of the entire book against Vanessa, because she just treats her poorly, mean, bullies her, all that kind of thing. And she was also the main antagonist at the party. So pretty much just her being a horrible person throughout the entire book. But then, towards like the middle, her and Vanessa start kind of getting this relationship. Like they're forced to be together at this bar scene. And from there, they're kind of forced to work together. And this scene was like, finally, the two baddies get together and do some stuff. This was like so amazing and delicious for me. Like I was so excited to finally get them to be together. But then the scene ends pretty much as quickly as their bond starts, and their relationship is never really discussed or advanced at all, let alone them talking to each other after this, which was just so disappointing to me. They had so much potential to have like a proper relationship and have more happen between them, but this was just not taken or capitalized upon by the author, which disappointed me. With characters out the way, I think the last thing I need to talk about is the story. For most of the book, you're pretty much following very sequentially what happens to Vanessa as she's in this court. All of her mistakes, everything she's learning. It's all good and dandy, and I really like the relationships and like interactions she has with the environment, especially as she tries to learn about it. I think Jordan Stephanie Gray does a really good job of world building. We learn so much about the world and how everything works, all the people, who's who, how, what, when, etc. Which I think makes sense considering this is the first book in what's going to be a very long series. And so I think it's very important that they get all the world building out of the way. That being said though, a majority of the book felt like world building. And then the very end, where there was a plot twist, that's where everything pretty much happened. Like, you could really get rid of all of this, and actually not really, because you need to understand all of this in order to, like, know what's happening. But pretty much all the plot in action happens at the very end. So that was kind of like, I still enjoyed it, but until you get to that end piece, you're just kind of like, oh, none of that mattered. And this is where everything is. And then at the end, you find out, oh, there's going to be book 2, which I can only imagine book 2 is going to be where all of the action actually happens. We had all this world building in book 1, and then book 2 is going to be the magic, which makes me look forward to book 2 a lot, because I already liked all the world building. I loved all the aesthetics that happened in this book. So book 2, when you have action, I think it's going to be way more enjoyable for me, and I do look forward to it coming out. I think it's October 2026. I might be mistaken on that. Do not quote me on that. Yeah, that's my main gripe. And then, of course, there were things that happened in the book, like we learned things, but it never felt like it was capitalized on. And then there were things, especially after you get to the plot twist and you reflect, you're like, oh, that does not really make sense, if you know what I mean. Like, we learn about things and things don't happen, but then we do learn about things and we're like, oh, what? My main thinking with this is when Vanessa's getting bullied and things happen, you find out that they happened, but the whole how and why of it does not quite make a whole lot of sense. Maybe it's not supposed to make sense, because there is like a lot of things happening behind the scenes that we don't get to know about from Vanessa's perspective, because this court has a lot of corruption happening, frankly. So maybe that's the point, and maybe I just like did not appreciate that well enough. Oh, this is really dark. I think for this look, I'm going to try and do the purple smoky eye thing to kind of honor Vanessa and her whole situation, because that is pretty much the trademark, staple, big thing that happens in this book, is her purple eyes. So, when it comes to recommending this book, I'm going to come out and say it. If you're here for spice, this is not for you. This is not my typical book, but I will say if you're here for like some fun enjoyment reading, this is definitely there for you. I definitely did not mind it whatsoever. It's a good read. It's a good read, but it's not spicy, like, at all. This definitely is for your romantasy fantasy people. And although it is about werewolves, honestly, I came into this not really liking werewolves all that much. Like, I'm definitely more of a vampire leaning person, but the way that Gray is depicting werewolves, it's frankly no different from any other vampire, and you're really just getting all the fun personalities of being like an immortal, powerful being. They just happen to turn werewolves instead of vampires, which I think is fun. Like, I loved it. After reading this book, I was into werewolves. Like, you don't have to be into werewolves to get into this. And I think that's incredibly magical and incredibly amazing. Don't let that like stop you from enjoying this book. I think for book one, if you want more of a softer, more vanilla style relationship and also character, then this is going to be more for you. I'm assuming in book two, where we get more into another love interest, that's going to be more for your like dark, baddie, brooding type people who are into that kind of character. More darker rather than vanilla, you know? And so I personally would look forward to that one instead. But I do think if you still want to read book two for that, I think you should still read this one so you understand what's happening in the story and have all the like the prior knowledge of how the world works. I am not liking this at all. Then, as I keep saying, this very much is a YA book. It's very easy to read, but there are still some heavier moments. There is a lot of gore, like the transformations, and then there's very traumatic, traumatizing, really bad things that happen. So if that's really not something that you're okay with, then I would kind of reconsider this book for yourself. Like, I will even say for myself, I was surprised that they decided to go this dark with it. Like, even just the transformation of werewolf, the casual one, where that happens like every so often, that still took me by surprise. I did not think that it would be that gory for something that's as light as a read as this is. So if you can get through that, in general, this book is pretty light, pretty mild. I would not be too worried about all of that. But if you're looking for more mature reads, which I totally understand, then I don't think you're going to find that here. Besides like the heavier content, but even then, it's talked about in a pretty mild way. And there's not a whole lot of philosophy happening or like development as a person going on. So it's also something that you're not really going to be finding here with more mature books. I hate this. I definitely like overdid it. And I don't know if I can fix that. If I turn this way, you can't see it, so we're gonna go with that. My God. I'm still learning. I don't do this very often. I'm sorry. And then if I'm to consider my overall rating with this book, I think I need to consider, I'm gonna throw out the fact that it's not a dark romance when I'm considering this. And instead, I'm gonna think about the fact that it's more of a YA book. In that regard, the romance, it's cute. I liked it. +1 for that. The fantasy descriptions and storytelling, +1 for that. I do think a pitfall is going to be the lack of jumping onto concepts that we were given. Like, you could have done more, but you chose not to. That was kind of like, for me. I think the stupidity of Vanessa, I think I have to take that into consideration, because that's the main character, that's who we're following. I really don't like her. Maybe we're going to give that a little drop down as well. But I think we can like bring that back up by discussing their personalities and understanding of other characters. They're very fun. And I love the different personality types and the way they can behave. And the way they can be altered by the environment. Because someone can be batty. But when it comes to someone above them, they can get shut down pretty easily. Everyone has a vulnerability. And everyone has more depth than what you think they do. And I think I really appreciate that. So with that all taken into consideration, I think I need to give this book a 7 out of 10. And I think it could have been higher if I was into YA books a bit more, but I'm just really, I want more depth. I want more darker, deeper thoughts and settings. I want more philosophy. I want more darker, more emotional things happening. This book just really read as a high school girl, YA, doing stuff, trying to have her main character moment. And I get that. I appreciate that. Empowerment. But it was just not hitting. But still, 7 out of 10. It was a good book. I liked it. I would read it again. And I want to read part 2. So there's that. And I think the last thing we're going to do is the lashes. And then we're going to call it the end. I don't like the fact that when I come back here, it does that. When I come up here, we're great. And this is like up close, you can kind of see. I kind of messed up. Like this is way overlined than that one. Oh well. I hate it. I literally hate it. But we got this far. I can't. At this point, I don't go. That's the whole point, honestly. We are here to experiment. This is an art form. You can't get better unless you do bad. So, but at the end of the day, it's not that deep. Nothing is ever that deep. So as long as you enjoyed yourself, or you learned something, which frankly, one and the same, then you have walked away having a good day. Maybe if I look absolutely crazy, I'll get more clicks. It's the Bob Ross of clickbait. That's what I thought of Jordan Stephanie Gray's Bitten. I enjoyed it. I recommend you go ahead and read it. Look forward to book 2, and I hope you will join us for that episode as well. Let me know what you thought of this book, if you read it yourself, if I convinced you to read it. Any thoughts, comments, opinions, what you want to see next, leave it all down below. And without further ado, I bid you farewell. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Marsh and Lee. I love you guys.